Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at the NBA here on Monday. Got 6 games on the slate to choose from and plenty of unknown on the injury reports as well as we keep dealing with every day in the NBA at this point. So welcome to January in hoops action here. I'm going to be taking a look at the best bets that I do have for today and what I'm going to be looking at and waiting on a little bit to see if we can get a slightly better number in some places, which I think we will be able to. And as always, going to be going over all of that on the live show at 5:30 p.m. Eastern as we do every weekday. So make sure you're tuning into that. We're going to go over how I did on Sunday as well real quick and then get into these plays. So if that all sounds good, give that video a like. Let's get right into it. We didn't break the bank on Sunday, but we did avoid losing money and made a few as well. 0.4 units that we made, 3 and 3. One of those bets for the double-double for Filipkowski was a plus 340, half a unit bet on that one. So lost a half a unit to maintain some profit here on Sunday. Giannis, great play. Don't know why that was at 10.5. I think we'll probably just be blindly betting over 10.5 rebounds for Giannis as we move forward through the season, if we ever even see that again. Collier, we've got to talk about him, and we will continue to look at him. He's a very, very good player. And without Keontae George in there is the starting point guard and diming up a lot. We needed OT to get that 6.5 assists, but we also got unlucky initially that he got hurt before he could get that 7th assist. Had 5 at the half, or 4 at the half, 5 in the third quarter. Should be good moving forward, plus money or even money for 6-7 assists. We're going to be looking at that every time. Filipkowski did get the 12. He got 12 points. He needed 11. We got that for even money, but they started Drew Eubanks, and that's where the Filipkowski stuff went wrong, was they did not start him. I really thought he would be in there for 32 minutes as the starting center, but they're playing Drew Eubanks. I don't know why they're not trying to bring along Filipkowski whenever they don't have Lowry or Walker Kessler in there. I thought and that they would continue to do what they've been doing, which is play him for 30 plus minutes. Didn't get there with him, so he couldn't get the boards, especially with the lineups they had around him. And Vooch, the man is dead to me for the time being. I mean, at 13 at the half, everything was going according to plan. He had 18 in the fourth and needed to make one of his 2 free throws at the line in the last 5 minutes. Couldn't do it. So we got screwed there a little bit, and we'll continue to fight through the negative regression. I think we're about to embark here on some wins straight. So we're going to start building upon this 34.5 units that we have on the season. And like I said, if you do want to make sure that you don't miss any of the bets that I put down today, jump on that live show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. You bring your bets. We look at that stuff as you throw those in the comments, and we'll find some of the best value that we can as those rotations and lineups are coming out around this time. So let's get into what I have already, though, for Monday. As you probably know by now, using Props Madness to find all the best value we can in hoops betting. This is the best platform around, so I highly recommend at least give it the 7-day trial. If not, go ahead and sign up using code LYB. You'll get 25% off your first month if you do choose to move forward with it. Definitely recommend doing it. We're going to be using it here on this show forever, and including in the live show at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. But I'm using Props Madness to find my first play here, and it is Jalen Duren, and it is an under. And I've got his PRA listed here, points, rebounds, and assists combined. And this is at 20.5 on a lot of books, but you can see it rising right now, man. On 21.5 on DraftKings, minus 120. That's going to be a bet for me to the under on this one for Jalen Duren. He's going up against the Knicks here. And I mean, just looking at this season for starters, this season they played twice. He played 25 and 18 minutes when they lost by 30. I think he's good for another 25. I don't think he's going to play 18. I don't think they're going to lose by 30 to a Knicks team on the second leg of a back-to-back after winning a pretty big game for them yesterday that they really needed against the Bucks, which they had been hemorrhaging a little bit, and then they finally stopped the bleeding. Now they're coming in on a back-to-back. They're pretty good. I mean, but they've been bad on back-to-backs this season, so I'm not really using that info. What I'm focused on here is Jalen Duren against Karl Anthony Towns. And if we pull up the FanDuel Fantasy Pros, this is linked in the description of the video. Really helpful tool to just see team defense and how it performs against specific positions. So if we look at the center position and we go to points, we're going to see the Knicks give up the 6th fewest points per game to centers, and they give up the 2nd fewest rebounds. And the rebounds is really what I'm honing in on here, because I'm not worried about the points with Duren. If you look at him on the season for the points here, he's at about 9.5. That's what we have him at. Some places you can get 8.5, but that's why I love the under. 9.5, we're still getting value for him to go under that. Minus 120 to the under on DraftKings, implying that they have a pretty high probability of him going under in this game. Then you look at the rebounds as well. This is where I just don't know that he's going to be able to get it done against the Knicks. And it's not just because the Knicks are a good rebounding team. They are currently second in limiting rebounds overall to their opponent, but it's specifically the center who's guarding Karl Anthony Towns, right? That's a main reason for all of this, is that you have to go out to the three-point line to guard Cat, who's shooting a good amount of threes and doing a lot of work from the outside and driving to the rim. Second most drives on the team, right after obviously Jalen Brunson. So I think you're going to continue to see the problems for centers against Cat. They're going to get into foul trouble. They're not going to be in position for rebounds, and that's going to continue to be a problem for Duren. If we just look at Jalen Duren this season versus last season, I don't know why JB Bickerstaff has decreased his minutes to 25. This should be their 30-plus minute a game starting center who should be relied upon to get the double-digit rebounds, to average a double-double essentially, which he's hyper capable of. It's just the minutes that he's getting and not getting this season. Now, granted, Amen Thompson is coming in and impacting that, but that's why you just can't trust Jalen Duren to go over this season. And when he gets a bad matchup, that I don't think there's any reason to believe JB Bickerstaff is going to play him more minutes in this game. Even in the game that they were close, he played 25 when they beat the Knicks by 9 points. He had 18 rebound chances and only pulled down 3, but I would question those rebound chances too, especially against a Knicks team that is going to be shooting a ton of threes, as we know, a lot of jump shots for this squad, and that usually leads to more rebounds for non-centers, for guards and guys standing further away from the basket. So love the under 21.5 PRA for Jalen Duren today. Couple looks I have here in the Warriors and the Raptors game, and we've got Emmanuel Quickley as a late addition to the questionable to the injury report with a questionable tag. Now, I'd be looking at Wiggs here. I still think Wiggins is going to continue to be relied upon as somebody that is going to be essentially the secondary scorer and the main guy to play above the rim, right? The guy that's driving to the bucket for this squad, because nobody else really has the sort of abilities to get to the rim and play above it on this squad the way that Andrew Wiggins does, because we don't have any Jonathan Kuminga. And so you can look at him this season with and without Jonathan Kuminga. The thing is there's so much randomness in the lineup right now for the Dubs that this is the only guy I would trust, but I still don't trust him. And if we pull up NBA advanced stats, the on-off stuff here, we can pull up on court. I've got Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Steph, and TJD. We've got Draymond with a questionable tag, so I left him off for a minute. But if you just look at the way that Schroeder comes in and impacts things here, what I'm looking at is how Wiggins has played this season when he's on the floor with Curry and TJD and Dennis Schroeder. There's been about 90 minutes of that for him, and he's at about 16 points per 36 minutes. He's at about 16 shots. Yes, the field goal percentage is low, but this really comes down to Schroeder just putting a wrench in everything. And if he wasn't there right now, and we had Andrew Wiggins even at like 19.5 points without Schroeder, I'd be very inclined to bet the over on him against a very weak Raptors defense down low. You can see against the spot up, they're worse. They're bad in transition. They give up a ton of free throws. So I'm always looking for the athletic wing who can drive to the bucket, but also pull up off the spot up. That's the guy I want to bet against Toronto. That is Andrew Wiggins. I just don't trust the Dubs at all. I wouldn't even trust them to cover like 6 points with or without Emmanuel Quickley playing for the Raptors in this one. And we don't even know if we're getting Draymond. So right now, I don't have anything for this one. Going to wait on the Quickley news to maybe bet on some players like Grady Dick for the Raptors. But for right now, I can't get a bet down on this game. Memphis and Houston is definitely the game of the day once again. We just saw Houston shoot lights out against the Memphis Grizzlies in their last game. In this man specifically, Jalen Green was hitting stuff, step back threes, really shots that you go, no. All right, fine, and went in. So I'm not going to yell at you for taking it. But Ime Udoka is still capable of yelling at you for taking it. And I don't think he'll be as lucky in this one. So you see he had 38 minutes, 27 points, went 11 for 21. And here's what would lead you to take an over for Jalen Green in this game, is that he's going to be playing without Jabari Smith Jr. and most likely without Tari Eason as well, which means Amen Thompson is in the starting lineup, and that's been the case for the last 4 games. Now, you can ask yourself, is he going off in the last 4 because there's been no Jabari Smith and no Tari Eason in all 4 of these games? Or is it because he's just had some incredible shooting numbers where he's gone 5 for 13 from 3, 5 for 12, 7 for 15, 4 for 8, from 3. So basically at about 45% from deep in these last 4 games. Not something that I think is sustainable against a Grizzlies team that is one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, they're 5th overall in defensive rating, but they will give up a few more 3-pointers if you look at that than normal. They are 4th, they have allowed the 4th most 3-point attempts. So if the 3 is going to be there for a guy like Jalen Green, then it does scare me. But I think if you look back at the tape, which I did before I I actually went to place a bet on Jalen Green because I did not bet over on Jalen. I'm actually heeding a bit of caution here that he's been shooting really well. This Grizzlies team is going to look to get us a bit of revenge, and I don't think he's going to hit the shots that he hit against Memphis in this last matchup with them. So I'm avoiding him right now, even though I've got my eye on it. And now Ja is questionable. And I think we got to get to Desmond Bane before it gets too high. And I think if Jaren Jackson Jr. as well gets to like 22.5 points, then he's going to be an over as well. But we're going to see these three guys, Bane, Morant, and Jackson Jr., all fluctuate throughout the day as the John Morant news kind of comes and goes. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Before we get that official news, this stuff's going to fluctuate. So I'm waiting a second. But Bane is the guy that I think we might need to start looking at early because this is only going to go up. Even if Ja plays, this probably hangs around 17.5. So we want to hit this at 17.5. That's where I would play Desmond Bane to tonight. If Ja is out, I think you can get up to like 19.5 because he's going to do a lot more pull-up shooting without Ja Morant. And pull-up shooting is the way that you beat this Houston Rockets team. They're very good limiting assists on the season. They have given up the second fewest assists per game to their opponent. So assists are not as likely to come by, but if you can make a pull-up shot, and Bane will have the ball in his hands a lot more without Ja, then he's in a good spot. If you look at him without Ja on the season, much better numbers than with Ja. He's at about 18.3 points per game without him and about 15 points per game with Morant. So Desmond Bane's going to be a bet on my card today. I think we got really unlucky. I know we did. We got really unlucky in this past Rockets game where he only scored 16 in 27 minutes, but only got 27 minutes because he got a flagrant foul that gave him 3 fouls in the second quarter. So he didn't get any of those minutes in the second quarter that he normally would without Morant. It was at a moment in time where the rotation was Desmond Bane's on the floor with Triple J. These are your two key scorers, and Ja is off, allowing Desmond Bane to do a lot more. If he gets those minutes in this game without fouling like an idiot, then he'll be fine. And I think he will be. You see all this green in the last roughly 10 games for Desmond. He's come around since getting past the injury, and now we're still getting value on his props because one, he went under against the Rockets just a few days ago, and two, the books still haven't caught up to that. This is the Desmond Bane we expect to see for the rest of the season, not the guy who's been hurt for the first half. One more reminder, if you're getting anything out of what we're talking about here, go ahead and give that video a like. Make sure to subscribe to that page. Trying to get these early videos out to you the night before when I can. Didn't have any lines available before I went to bed last night, so I had to get this out this morning. But we're going to get into more, like I said, on the live show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. However, this is a bet that you can bank on here, and it's Max Christie. So for those of y'all who saw the video I put out on the last Lakers game they were supposed to have before they got obviously postponed due to the fires in LA, Max Christie was a bet at 14.5 PRA at the time, and we're going back to it. Now, the thing that would scare you about Christie against the Spurs is they're a very good spot-up shooting team, and that's how he's going to get his points for the most part, 30% of his points coming off the spot-up. But at the same time, over the course of the last roughly 8 games, since he's been injected into the starting lineup, we can see here that Max Christie, obviously really good numbers on the PRA. And I like adding the rebounds and assists because those are pretty low for him. And it's really, those are a lot of times going to be volume stats that you need to just get minutes, and you follow the minutes. When he's getting minutes, then you can believe in his ability to just fall into some rebounds, obviously get some assists. When he is trying to score, if someone comes up on him, he can pass. So I do think Max Christie is going to be a good bet because JJ Redick trusts him now. He's a very, very good defender at the top of the key. So it really just comes down to the minutes, man. I mean, if you look at him in the last 8, 19.1 PRA per game, we're still getting a bit of an edge here when it's at 14.5. 30 minutes, 39, 33, 32. He had 28 when they lost by 12 to Cleveland. That game was never really close for them. And then he had 32, 34, 33. So he's at about 33.5 minutes per game over his last 8. And if you look at him, and if you filter this on Props Madness, you can see how he's done in games where he's played a certain amount of minutes. So let's give him at least 30 because that's what we can consistently project him for now that JJ Redick has fallen in love with him. And if he's played at least 30 minutes this season, he's over an 8 of 8, averaging 21 PRA. No reason to think he's not going to average 30 against the Spurs. I think this is going to be a good game. It's like a 3-point spread, and it should be very low because it is going to be a good battle between these two squads. Maybe not the most scoring in the world, but another reason why I do think this game probably goes under, but I like adding rebounds and assists for Christie so we can get some of those ancillary stats, as we call them, not just the points. All right, that is all the time I have for you in this one. I will see you guys at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Bring your bets, jump in the comments, and we'll go over all that stuff together so we can find the best value as all the rotation and lineup news starts to come out. So see y'all at 5:30, and until I do, happy betting.